This conference will now be recorded.
Yeah, so let's get started. So, as part of the course, right? So, we will be starting with this portal.azure.com. So, this is the first portal we'll be accessing, and all the services related to Azure we will be accessing from here. Whether it is a platform as a service, infrastructure as a service, or software as a service, whatever it is, you need to be accessing from here. Okay. After learning these particular concepts, then we will move into dev.azure.com, where we need to automate the manual steps what we are trying to do, like individually, okay, to deploy the applications, whatever it is. So now, so what we have to learn, that's okay, fine. You have told that we need to go to portal.azure.com. In this portal.azure.com, where I need to start with, okay. So always we need to start with Azure Active Directory. So without learning that, the other things what you learn, it doesn't make any sense to us, because you need to manage permissions, you need to provide authentication to the applications. Okay, so the main thing is like you need to provide the access. Okay, so without having that, we should not proceed with other services what we learn. Okay, so let us start with Azure Active Directory. So let me open the documentation of it, so that I can discuss on it. Just give me 2 minutes. Oh, sorry guys. I was speaking on mute.
Yes,
Sorry for that.
yes.
Okay, I have to come again. Okay. So what I mean to say is like this is the first thing that we have to learn. Okay. So portal.azure.com. So in the portal.azure.com, what is the first service that I have to learn? Service in the sense the Microsoft Cloud is offering you all the infrastructure as a service and platform as a services for you on behalf of you. They are maintaining it. Okay, you need to know which service is suitable for you for your requirement. Okay, so these are the services offered by Azure, Microsoft Azure. So which one I have to start with? Okay, so which one I have to start with? So either I need to start with I don't know, app service, I need to start with virtual network, or do I need to start with container registry? From where I need to start with this Azure? The first and foremost thing is, first of all, you need to understand the flow. Flow in the sense, how will you communicate to your Azure, whether it is through dashboard, or whether it is from CLI, or whether it is from Cloud Shell. Dashboard in the sense, it is this dashboard, or a portal in the sense, this is the one. If you want to create some particular resource, I will log in first. You can see here. Okay, if I log out from here, let's say, I will tell you how to create account as well. It is so simple. If you have your Gmail account, right, that is enough. So you can see here, right, I have my Gmail account. Okay, you will go here. You'll get a page like this. When you access portal.azure.com, you need to access a URL called portal.azure.com. Just you need to type this. Okay, then you'll get a sign in page like this. Since I've done so many times, my user details have been stored here. Okay, in your case it will look like this. So you have to give your username and the password. Okay, your Gmail account, or if you have Outlook account, that is also fine. Once you log into that like this, in my case I have enabled a secured communication, means secured authentication, where it will send a code. That code I have to enter in my this particular window. Okay, so code I will get to my email address. Okay, so let's say I need to open my email, and I have to search for that particular code which was sent. Okay, it is a temporary code. Okay, so now it is asking you stay sign in. Okay, and once this authentication was fine, you will be able to log into the portal. Nowadays, you remember every company was using Azure Authentication, Azure Active Directory for authentication. That is for sure. Okay, maybe today or tomorrow you will be coming across that particular situation. Okay, if you already have a Office 365 account where you have purchased some license key, or if you have already some account, free trial account or something, you can access this particular portal.azure.com. You can do that with that email address what you have registered, and the password if you enter, you will log into this. Okay, so when you log in, how it looks, let me show you the page. Okay, let me show you. Don't ask me this flow, I will tell you later. Okay, so manage tenants. This is the one which I want to switch. Okay, okay, when you log in for the first time, it will look like this. Exactly, it will look like this. Okay, nothing will get changed. Now here you need to purchase your start with Azure free trial. This is the notification which you get. Okay, you can manage Azure Active Directory. It doesn't need any what do you say, you no need to have free trial account or something. You can directly access Azure Active Directory. If you are a student, you can purchase a student benefits, means they will give you some credit. Okay, you can use it for 2 months or 1 month, and then you can start exploring our Microsoft Azure services. Okay, for that you need to give your ID card scanned copy. Okay, your college details or something like that. Okay, but here this is a free trial. So free trial in the sense, first of all you need to give your credit card details and all. Okay, if you click on that, you need to give your card details and other things you have to pass in. After your credit card details have been passed, once they will detect only 2 rupees. Okay, they will detect for verification purpose. They will detect 1 rupee or 2 rupee from your card which you have specified, and then okay, once that is done, you will get a portal like what we have seen right in the previous session. Okay, so this particular they will credit $200 for free for only for 1 month. It is actually okay, only for 1 month. Some services are free for 12 months actually, that you can access. So if you want to know what are the free services, lifelong free services, you can go there. Free in the sense it is not completely free. They will give you some particular what is a time frame, okay, where you can execute, or some particular storage size. They will tell you Azure blob storage is completely free up to 5 GB. If you are using beyond 5 GB, they will start charging on it. Okay, so there are some free trial complete free services which you can access. Okay, so these are the services which you have a list. Okay, you can keep it with you guys. If you want, you can, when you log in also, you'll get that particular details. Okay, this is the first thing we have to know. Okay, after the authentication details are verified, you will get an account for the free trial account will be activated, and they will credit you somewhere around $13,000, sorry, 13,000 rupees or something in INR. Okay, in dollars it is $200. Once it is credited, within 1 month, whichever comes first, either your 13,000 credit has to be completed, or 1 month. If 1 month is coming in, then the account will get suspended. If you want to reactivate that particular account, again you have to upgrade your account from the free trial to your paid version. Okay, so that is what we have to do. Already you'll get a notification how to do it and all. It doesn't need my guidance as well, because everybody knows, right, how to upgrade your accounts and all. You have purchased so many tools or somewhere in the online, similar to that, nothing changed. Okay, after doing that, okay, so after doing that, the portal looks like this. Let me show you. Once it is activated, verification was done, right? So it will look like this. Everybody will get this default directory. That is the first tenant which we will use actually. Okay, with your email address, a domain name will be created. Okay, so I will talk about that later in detail. But for now, just understand that I have logged into this particular Active Directory. Okay, and this is my account. And the page after it is activated, right? Your account, it will look like this. It is looking like this means your account has been activated, and they might have credited some 13,000 rupees, which you will get a notification here. Once you log into the portal, you can see there actually. In my case, it is past what is I'm using pay as you go subscription actually. Okay, so I have logged in right now. After login, what I have to learn? First concept that you have to learn is nothing but Azure Active Directory. Without learning authentication and authorization, you cannot learn anything. Okay, authentication and authorization. So authentication, authorization in the sense everybody might have know about it who are already working on this. In daily basis, we are using it actually. Whether you use your Facebook, Gmail, or Outlook, whatever it is, you are already doing your authentication and authorization mechanism. Okay, nothing different. Authentication in the sense, what are the username password you have created, on a daily basis it will verify it. Today I'm trying to log in, right? Today I'm trying to log in that particular tool. In the database, it will store my username password in encrypted format. Okay, now if I give my username password, let's say you're trying to open your Gmail to send some message, email. Now, if I want to open that, I need to go to the portal, means that URL, gmail.com, and I need to go to login, and then I need to give my username password. That username password will be verified in the backend. This verification, and after the verification has been passed, then you will enter into the portal, right? Then only you can compose an email. So that is called as authentication. Okay. So verifying the username password which is already created or which you're trying to create is called as authentication. Here also we have to provide authentication. Let's say in my company there are so many people who are working to the contribution of this particular project. So the project client has purchased something and we want to create a proper users for our team, the authentication to our team, so that they can log into the portal and they can do whatever they want for the development. Okay, so first of all I want to create that particular user, then only he can get authentication, right? That is the first thing you have to remember. So authentication, it's a known term, actually everybody knows about it. Okay, authentication mechanism is nothing but verifying the user. Not only verifying the user, it can be an application as well. Application can also provide authentication, right? If I'm not wrong, when you try to open some particular urls, it will ask it, you will get a pop-up of asking for username password. Okay, in your internal projects or somewhere you will do that, actually not in the outside world, but internal projects, when you try to access some nagios dashboard or grafana dashboard or some particular dashboards and all, it will ask you a pop-up of username password. If you give that particular proper username password, then only it will enter into the portal, then only you can see the dashboard. So there also there is an authentication mechanism that is for application level. Okay, so there will be different authentication mechanisms. Either it can be for a user or it can be for an application. Applications will use a token based mechanism to authenticate, means to log in. Okay, they are not users, right, to provide username password, they are just a process. Okay, so they will provide a key based or token based authentication mechanism. Okay, so when we talk about application registration, we can talk about how these applications will try to do authentication to your services or a portal, how it will use it Active Directory. Okay, so now once authentication is done, means once I log into the portal, what is authorization? So authorization in the sense what you can do and what you cannot do. It is called as what do you say, actions. What actions you can perform after logging into the portal. Okay, after logging into the portal, it doesn't mean that I can do everything, right, which you have seen last time. Let's say again, let me show you. If I switch to this particular directory, okay, now let's say I have authenticated successfully. Okay, means I gave my credentials, have registered it. Azure, Microsoft Azure is able to log in my with my credentials. It doesn't mean that I can access everything. Okay, let me show you. Let's say if I go to my virtual machines, and if I do that, it is asking me to purchase the license first. So which means that I am not authorized to do everything on this particular portal. Though I have logged in, it doesn't mean that I can do everything, right? So that is called as authorization, giving the permissions. Though you are able to log into the portal after the authentication has been passed, the next level of verification is authorization. Authorization in the sense what actions you can do on that particular tool. Okay, it can be get access, delete access, create access, update access, okay, fetch access, whatever it is. Okay, so that access need to be provided. That is called as authorization. Okay, so that is the first thing we have to learn in Azure: authentication and authorization. So that authentication and authorization mechanism is provided in Azure Active Directory. Okay, so in Azure Active Directory, this is the integral part of Microsoft, where each and every service will trust, means what are the service you are trying to that is access is provided in the Azure, all the services are trusting this particular Azure Active Directory for authentication. If you remember, if I don't have a common authentication mechanism for every application, I need to rely on internal development for authentication, or I need to rely on third party tools for authentication. Let's say I designed some website. Okay, so today I want to start up some company. So for that company, I have designed some website. It needs authentication, which means that I have created some particular portal where you need to register the users or create an account or something like that. For example, facebook.com or gmail.com or whatever it is. Okay, now do I need to develop my own internal authentication mechanism, authentication or authorization? So I don't have such an effort and I don't want to do that particular task. I want to rely on third party tool. That's fine. But third party tool, it doesn't mean that you are trusting that particular tool and you are storing your credentials over there. Okay. And that is not a suitable solution in all the cases. Okay. If something goes wrong, right? Everything is hacked. Okay. So instead of that, what Azure is doing, what are the services you access? All the services will rely on this particular Azure Active Directory for authentication, which means that this service is not having any internal authentication mechanism. It will use Azure Active Directory, it will trust. There is a trust relationship. Trust relationship in the sense it is telling you that, okay, I will trust you, Azure Active Directory. Please verify whether this user is valid or not. If it is a valid user, he will continue. Okay. If he is not a valid user, where Azure Active Directory is telling that he doesn't have a permission to access this, then it will deny. So these services are relying on this particular Azure Active Directory for authentication and authorization. Okay. So this is called as a trust relationship, which is established between your Azure services and your Active Directory. Okay. So this is the first thing we have to keep it in mind. Okay. So now whenever you try to create proper details and all, this is the portal how it looks, and for you also it will be a default directory. This is the first tenant, or you can call it as organization, which will be created by default. Okay, if you also you can create an account today or tomorrow, and you can see this particular thing. Okay, now after this, what I need to understand, as I told you before, you can access this particular services either from the portal.azure.com from this particular GUI, or I can use a cloud shell. Okay, this particular cloud shell is nothing but, again, I need to log into the portal to access this, but here I can execute the CLI commands. Okay, AZ commands, AZ VM list, or AZ Active Directory ADD list, something like that, if I want to execute some commands. The advantage of this is nothing but, for you it is not needed to launch or do any configurations in your local system. Okay, no need to spin up that particular virtual machine or something like that. You will log into the portal, you will open the cloud shell, and you will execute the commands whatever you want. And the shell is nothing but, either it will create a PowerShell or a Bash shell. If I say create storage, see what happens. I'll do this and I will show you which shell it will show. If you want to do so Linux operations, then you can use Bash shell. If you are Windows guy, you can use a PowerShell. Okay, whichever is comfortable for you. So let it be done. Yeah, now we can say the shell was getting created. Okay, so no, the advantage of this is also nothing but, no need to provide authentication. Okay, it's already done. Okay, just a second, why it is going down. Let me make it like so. Yeah, now we can see, right, I logged in. Okay, now here I need to, here you can see it is telling you that welcome to Azure Cloud Shell. If I execute Azure VM list, something like that, you can say I don't have any virtual machines. But what about authentication? How it is verifying my user? It's already done. Why? Because you gave your subscription. Okay, automatically it has created a cloud shell. No need to provide your authentication. You are already verified. That's one more thing. That's one more advantage we have when you use a cloud shell. But when you are using this particular from remote location, right, you have to first authenticate. Once your authentication was done, then only you will able to execute some commands. If you try to execute a command without authentication, you will get a forbidden error. Okay, so that's the first thing we have to remember. So that is the advantage, but the problem is, again, you have to log into the portal. In let's say if you are using some CI/CD operations, okay, if you are building some pipelines, this is not a suitable solution, right, for us. Either the portal or either the cloud shell. How your CI/CD pipeline can do this? It cannot be done, right? It is not a human being, it is just a process. So in those cases you have to use a CLI, AZ commands, okay, which you have to execute from your pipeline. Okay, so let me close this particular shell. Okay, so now what I need to do after this, now I understood that this is the first service I have to learn. Azure Active Directory, AAD, Azure Active Directory. Okay, so this Azure Active Directory is a main concept for us to provide authentication and authorization. Not only that, it has some other features as well. First of all, let's remember that it is for authentication and authorization for any internal services or external services as well. Let's say I designed a website, not here, I've designed somewhere in GoDaddy, Big Rocks or somewhere. Now for that particular website, means the website which I've designed, I want to rely on this particular Azure Active Directory for authentication. Okay, because my company is already having users in this Azure Active Directory already created. Now what you need to do, you need to register that particular application here. Okay, so you have to register here. Automatically, whatever the users you create here, those users can log into that particular website. Okay, that is a simple mechanism, right? So it's not a solution only for your Microsoft, it is also a solution for your other applications. Okay, so let's go to the next level. So after learning that, understood that Azure Active Directory is for authentication authorization, then we have to understand the important concept is Azure Resource Access Manager. Resource Access Manager. There are some technical terms which we have to understand. What is this technical terms in the sense, what is users groups, okay, what is subscription, what is resource groups. Say this is called as subscription. Now you don't know what is the subscription. Okay, under the subscription we have resource groups. Okay, under the resource groups you have resource as well. You know what is resource? Resource is nothing but what are the service you try to create, that is called as resource. You know that, but now I don't know what is resource group, what is the subscription and blah, some xyz and all. I don't know about this. So first of all you have to understand this concept as well. Okay, so let's do that. See, it doesn't mean that though you're a DevOps engineer or administrator, without knowing this concept you will not understand the whole picture of what is happening in Azure. Okay, so that is the intention here. Now first and foremost is you have to understand what is organization. Organization in the sense it is a business unit. Let's say I will keep it in a simple terms. I'm starting a company. Okay, so that company CEO or a manager or who is the let's say sales executive, he has purchased a Azure Active Directory account. It's like, let's say Microsoft account, portal.azure.com. With one email address he has purchased this particular account. After the purchasing this account, okay, so he will create some organization. Let's say that company was working for two projects, two clients. Okay, I want to keep the users authentication mechanism, all the features under one particular tenant. Tenant in the sense one organization. So let's say there is some company called the company client called X. Okay, that X client related information I want to keep it in one tenant, or you can call it as organization as well. And I have another client, I'm using the same portal. Okay, I don't want to create another portal. For those two clients I'm using a single portal, portal.azure.com. But those two companies are segregated with each other. How? With the help of tenant, or you can call it as organization. Now the technical term is tenants. Okay, tenants are nothing but the end users. Okay, so now you will be creating one tenant. Let's say there is X tenant and there is a Y tenant. So the user which you have created in X tenant cannot be available in the Y tenant. So you have segregated like that. Okay, so whatever the resource you create under one tenant will not be visible in another tenant. Okay, so in this way, with a single dashboard, you are trying to create multiple organizations. It is up to you whether you want to create multiple organizations or you want to maintain the single organization, or one particular client might have multiple organizations, small companies, small in the sense child companies. For that he want to maintain a separate what do you say, authentication authorization mechanisms and other things. Then you have to create an additional tenant. How I created here, right? See, everybody can create. If I want to create a tenant I can create from here. So this is called as organization. Okay, so this is the additional tenant which I have created. If you want to create also you can do that, but every tenant will have its own subscription. I will tell you that later. Every tenant will have its own billing. Okay, so the billing of this particular tenant will not be visible here. Okay, so you no need to worry. Okay, so with the single portal, you are trying to create multiple tenants in order to segregate the authentication mechanism, authentication, the resources, and everything. You are isolating with each other in the single portal. Now, that is organization. It represents a business entity that is using Microsoft Cloud. Okay, and then typically identified by one or more public domain systems, domain names such as this is the default one. Okay, contoso.com, and then we have sudhidevops.com. Okay, so what is organization? In the sense, it is nothing but a tenant. What is a tenant? It's a business entity. Okay, so I have a company, I have a client. The client related information, I want to store it in a separate tenant. I don't want to put two clients information in the same portal, same under one particular tenant. I want to segregate them. So that's the purpose of creating a organization. Okay, you can call it as organization or you can call it as tenant. Okay, so for this, every organization, you will have a website. Let's say you're working for a company. Your client is some xyz.com. Your client is having some website called xyz.com. And what are the email addresses? Means what are the users you are trying to create? For that users, you need to get a username as username at the rate that xyz.com. So first of all, you have to register the domain anyway. Okay, so that will represent your organization. Okay, so right now it is not that effective to understand right away, but I'm telling you that the organization is nothing but a tenant. Tenant is used to segregate from one user information to the other user information. Okay, that's one thing we have to understand. So first, next level is nothing but Azure resources. Resources in the sense what? The services that are offered by Microsoft is called as resources. Okay, so resource in the sense virtual machines, app services, Azure Active Directory, virtual network, container registry, SQL. There are so many services which are offered by Azure. Okay, Microsoft. You can see how many services we can create. See this one. Okay, in our lifetime we never use these many services. Okay, but these are the services which are offered by Microsoft Cloud. Okay, it is up to you which one you want to use. So the technical name for this is nothing but resources. Okay, so that is what we have to understand. Few people call it as service. You can also call it as like services, or you can call it as resource. The actual technical name is a resource, but you can also call it as a service. So your virtual machine is one service, virtual machine scale set is one service, container instance is one service. So these are like computer services. Okay, so they have segregated based on category. Okay, now, so service is nothing, a resource is nothing but a entity managed by Azure. You're not doing anything, right? Let's say I want to create a virtual machine. Are you purchasing any bare metal server and you are trying to install some hypervisor, and then you are trying to create a virtual machines? Are you doing this? No. These things will be done by your Microsoft in their data center. For that only they have given you the portal, because I cannot go to the data center, right? So I cannot go to the data center. So that's the reason I have this portal where I can interact and I can create my virtual machine. I'm not bothered about how this virtual machine is created. I am bothered about only in which data center I want to create it. It is Mumbai region or US East region or Europe region, which region I want to create. Okay, only that decision you will take care. Okay, so that in that data center, automatically your virtual machine will get created. So the backend things what are happening is handled by your Microsoft. Okay, so that is the thing which you have to understand. And like virtual machines, virtual network, which I've told you, storage accounts are referred to the Azure resources. Okay, so that is what we have to understand. Azure resource is nothing but a resource which is managed by Microsoft. Okay, that is what you have to understand. Now, after understanding the resource, what I need to think about? Resource group, as I told you. What is resource group? Why we have to have this particular concept? Resource group is nothing but a logical thing which will try to create multiple groups together. Let's say I'm trying to deploy some application. Let's say some application. For that application, I need a virtual machine with a WordPress installed. For example, I'm saying that is a website. Okay, I want a virtual machine with WordPress installed. To launch this virtual machine, I need a virtual network. In that virtual network, I need to create a virtual subnet and other things I have to do. So, which means that I need a virtual network and I need to create a virtual machine and I need to create some storage and I want to have some database. For this particular front end application, I need some particular database. Okay, other XYZ may or may not required, I don't know, but these are the four services which I need to create to manage my application. So all these four services I want to manage together in the sense, tomorrow if I want to update something, or tomorrow if I want to access, if I want to provide some authorization, okay, all these things if I want to do, I can put all these particular four services under one particular what is under one particular umbrella. That is called as resource group. So you will try to create a resource group. Under that resource group, you will create these particular services. Okay, resource group is just logically it is representing your four services. All these four services are managed under that particular resource group. Okay, so that is called as a resource group. If you want to manage the life cycle of a particular resources, try to create all the resources under one particular resource group. Okay, so without providing a resource group, you cannot create a resource in Azure portal, right? Let's say I want to create a virtual machine, so I will click on that, and let's say I will say create virtual machine. Okay, when you are trying to create a virtual machine without passing this resource group, means under which resource group you want to create this particular resource, it is asking me, and which is a mandate. You can see a star symbol, which means that it is a mandatory option which you have to pass some information. If none of the resource group is available, you have to create it. Okay, so which means that under this resource group your resource will be available. Okay, so to logically represent as couple of resources which need to be managed, the life cycle of that particular resources, then we will try to place this particular resource under one particular resource group. Okay, so you have to create a resource group. Under that resource group you will try to create a resource. Remember, every resource has to be under one particular group, resource group. Okay, without having a resource group you cannot create a resource. That is so mandatory that you have to understand. Everything that is born together, what is the purpose of this resource group? Everything that has been created together gets managed together and deprecates together and goes together, okay, in resource group. Let's say when you are using some particular template or something, you spinned up a resource group. Under that resource group you have created all these resources. Tomorrow if I want to clean up this particular resources, no need to go individually and delete the resource. If I come to my resource group and if I say delete, automatically under that particular resource group whatever the resources I have, all will get deleted one by one automatically. So the life cycle of your resources can be managed under one particular resource group. Okay, if you want to access some, if you want to give some permissions, or if you want to create something, or if you want to update something, or if you want to delete something, everything can be done through the resource group level. Okay, so that is the advantage we get when you try to use resource group. I will tell you about this in practical, but theoretically this is the concept right now. Okay, and then resource groups and the resources they contain are associated with the Azure subscription. That's okay. Subscription we'll discuss in the bottom, but every resource group has to be created under one subscription. You can see now by looking at this diagram, this is the resource group. Under the resource group you will have the resources, maybe 1, 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or maybe 10 resources or 20 resources, I don't know. Under the resource group I can have n number of resources. All these resources I'm managing under this particular resource group. Okay, it's a logical entity. It is not a physical entity or something virtual entity. It is just a logical thing. Logically, it is adding these particular resources under one umbrella. Okay, that's the only thing we have to understand. Now, what is subscription? Subscription is a license which you have to purchase. Okay, what is the advantage of subscription is nothing but when you purchase a subscription, it will add a billing to it. Billing to in the sense when you try to purchase a subscription, whether it is a free trial or pay as you go, okay, so all the billings will be added under that particular subscription. Why the billing is added to the subscription level? Because under that subscription only you will create a resource group. Under that resource group only you will have the resources, and that resource how much time it has utilized the Microsoft provided what do you say functionalities, for that the billing will be added. So that billing will be generated in the subscription level. Okay, not in the resource group level or the resource level. If you look at the paint, let me open one paint. Okay, now let's say you will purchase a subscription. Okay, so that subscription is let's say it is pay as you go. Pay as you go. This is the license, which means that whatever the resource you try to use, for that only the billing will get added. So here in the subscription you will provide your card details, maybe credit card, okay, or debit card details you will provide, or internet banking. And the internet banking will not be available, but still I'm saying that for example. Okay, now this is the one. So automatically every month a bill will be generated, and that you can see in the subscription level. So let me show you my subscription, then you will understand this. If I go to this subscription, right, this is the subscription where the billing will be generated for me. I have only one subscription. If I want to purchase another one, you can do it. You can say 6,373 rupees, 74 rupees right now, and paise, 0.35 paise. This is the billing which got generated. If I open this subscription, I will come to know what are the resource groups I have. Okay, in this resource groups, what are the resources I have created, so that I can verify and say, okay, is this necessary service for me? Is it a working service? I'm using this one or not. If I'm not using it, I will select and I will delete. Okay, so that under this particular subscription, I can see what are the resource groups I have and what are the resources I have created under each resource group. Okay, so you can see my invoice, payment methods, means my credit card details, how I will pay this particular bill, everything will be. Okay, so your subscription is nothing but a billing entity. Okay, so under the subscription, you will create either one or multiple resource groups. Okay, multiple resource groups. Why these multiple resource groups I have there? Let me tell you. Not this one. Let me use this one. Let's say one resource group is for application. One resource group is for Kubernetes. For example, let's say this resource group is created for Kubernetes. Let's say AKS resource group. Okay. So whatever the AKS cluster I created or AKS related services I created, that will be created under this particular resource group. Okay, so let's say I will create AKS cluster, I will create a Azure Container Registry, and I will create some particular monitoring as well. Okay, all these resources which I have created will be created under this particular resource group. Okay, for example, let's say this is AKS cluster, means Kubernetes cluster. Okay, the services name is called as, in Azure it is called as AKS cluster. And then let's say I have ACR, Azure Container Registry, to store the images. And then let's say Azure Monitoring, the monitoring service for all the components. Okay, now for how much this AKS cluster I have used, let's say I have used for 20 days. For this 20 days this cluster is keep on running, right? For that they will add a bill, and that bill will be generated in the subscription level. Okay, under this particular resource group. So whatever you have used under this subscription, for this resource group, this resource group, this resource group, all the bills will get generated and it will be shown in the subscription level. Okay, so that is what we have to understand. Let's say I have created another cluster. Let's say I am trying to deploy some web application. Okay, I have named a resource group like this, for example. Under this resource groups, I will be creating some virtual machine. Okay, and I will be creating some network. Okay, and then I will be creating some storage and all. Okay, so these are the resources which I will create under this particular resource group. See why we are creating resource group in the sense in order to segregate application level. Okay, so web application related things will be coming under this particular resource group. I have created a separate resource group so that the permissions which I have managed here should not affect this particular services. If I try to create all these resources under one resource group, if I try to apply some permissions, that will get affected to all of them. Some services may not need it, but unnecessarily you are giving the permission, which is not a good thing, right? So that's the reason we have to be careful. So let's say this is a virtual machine VM, and this is virtual machine service, and this is storage service, and this is a network VNet. Okay, VNet. That's it. So this is called as resource group, and this is called as resources, and this is called as subscription. So under the subscription, what are the resource groups, and under that resource, what are the resource you have created under that resource group, the billing will be generated, and that will be shown in the subscription level. From this subscription, you will try to pay the invoice what it is generated. Okay. Now I need to pay this bill. I already paid it. You can see it here. These are paid. These are settled. So which means that it will not affect my services what I'm running. If you don't pay the bill right, the subscription will get suspended. Because of that, though your resources are running, you cannot access them. Resource, nothing will happen to the resource. It will be running in the background. But after few days, it will get deleted also. But before that, it will be running and you have to pay it. Okay. So you cannot go to that virtual machine and see. You cannot do that. It will ask you to pay the bill. Okay, so that is a subscription. So in a particular tenant means it is under one tenant, right? So here I can create a number of subscriptions. Okay, if I want to create some subscription, I can just do it. Okay, if I want to cancel the subscription, I feel that I'm using more bill than what I expected. I don't want to continue with this particular Azure Active Directory subscription which I'm using right now, so you can cancel it. Okay, if you want, you can cancel it. It is up to you. Okay, so this is what it is. This is the name of the subscription which I gave actually. So the DevOps. Okay, actually the name will be like this, but I'm not comfortable with this name, so I've changed it actually. If you want to rename, you can do that as well. Okay, so that is all about your subscription. So anyone understood or any questions till now what I've discussed? Organization, Azure resources, Azure resource group, and Azure subscription. Any questions in this?
Oh, hi, so there one question here.
Hi Sanjay.
Yeah. So when you create a different resource groups for different kind of things, so let's say you have said the web application related thing under one resource group, and
Yeah,
the Kubernetes cluster and all other things in other resource
yeah,
groups. So how do you
yeah.
communicate between those two resource groups?
See,
Is it
communication will
possible?
be there. Yeah. No, no, no. See, they are created under one umbrella, right? Let's say this
Yeah.
subscription will be attached to one particular tenant. Okay. So one
Mm-hmm.
tenant can have multiple subscriptions, but a subscription can be attached to only one tenant. Okay, so now
Mm-hmm.
authentication mechanism is relying on Azure Active Directory. It is not internal web app or this particular thing, right? And communication will happen. Nothing wrong in it. Let's say if I want to communicate to this to here, I need to ensure that this AKS cluster will have a permission in order to access this particular web applications. That's it. I need to give a proper role to this particular Azure Active Directory. Sorry, AKS cluster resource group. If I give a proper permission, automatically what are the resource I created under this particular resource group, they can access this particular resource group.
Okay. Yeah, that's
It
what I
all
wanted
depends
to
upon the
understand. So
permission what you provide. Sorry.
yeah, that's all I wanted to understand actually.
Yeah, yeah. because
Okay, so
everybody is
when you
running on
separate
Azure
it,
Active Directory. That's the reason.
okay, okay. So when you separate this resource group, so you have to give a proper permission to access,
Exactly.
mutually, right?
Not only separation, see, not only separation. Let's say you are a user, it doesn't mean that you can access all the resources under here. You need to be added to
Mm-hmm.
that. Either the group, what is the
Okay,
best thing? Instead of adding the users one by one, create a group, add the users to that particular group, attach a group to this particular subscription. Then whatever the resources are there under this subscription, a user can access. Okay,
okay.
that's which level you will
And
give
one more
access.
thing. So is
Hmm.
okay.
Go ahead, no problem.
And one more thing. So is there a scenario like you have a different subscription? So you
Hmm.
have two subscriptions. So you
Okay.
wanted to access the resource group from the other subscription from your subscription.
See,
Is there a
you can switch.
scenario?
Yeah, let's say access in the sense what? Are you doing trying to do it from the portal or are you doing trying to do it from your whatever the thing
L-
it is?
l- Yeah, it's from your Azure portal. Let's say you have some other resource
Portal
in
or
other
CLI, whatever
subscription
it
under.
is. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So
So let's say,
you have a particular resource under
hmm,
other subscription under a particular resource group. Okay. So you have your own
okay,
subscription and your resource group. So you
yes.
wanted to utilize that service in that
Hmm.
resource group with that subscription. So is that possible?
So yeah, you mean to say there is a resource under one subscription and there is another resource under another subscription. Okay, forget about your
Yes,
resource group.
yes.
Okay, obviously it will
Hmm.
be there
Yeah.
under one resource group. Okay, now if
Hmm.
you want to
Hmm.
access this, you have to be added to that subscription as well. Okay, if you are not added, you cannot access. Okay,
Okay.
let's say a user will be added to the subscription level. Why? Because as an administrator, I cannot keep on add the user to each and every resource, right? It will be painful for me. Instead of that,
Hmm.
I have a resource group or I have a subscription. I'll give an access to the subscription. So if I give an access to the subscription, what are the resource groups and resource I have under that, he can access. It is so simple job, right? But we have to be careful as well. And I've not given him access to another subscription, so he cannot access it. If he needs to access that subscription as well, I need to add him. If I add him, he can access. If not, he cannot. Okay. So someone is
Okay.
asking a question: how to create a multiple subscriptions in a single tenant? As I told you, this is one of the tenant which I've logged in, and then you can create a subscription. You can select offer if you have any offers, or if you in contact to the sales team, and you can purchase another subscription. It's up to you which one you want to select. Okay, and that subscription, after that the subscription will be added to one tenant. Let's say you will go here, I don't want to purchase under that particular tenant default directory, then you have to switch to that particular tenant and then you have to purchase. Okay, so that that subscription will be available under that particular tenant. Okay, hope I answered this, Arun. uh, Also, can we establish the connectivity between the
Yes, sir.
resources existing in the resource group existing under different? I told you just now, right? So you
Yeah.
can access from one resource to another resource which are present in the different subscription, which can be done with the access levels. Okay. So identity and access management, which I've told you in the starting slide, right? We have to learn about
Hmm.
RBAC and roles. So with that particular roles and RBACs, we can do this particular thing, what you have asked. Okay.
Okay.
And then next question is, are we just using the subscription for just billing purpose? Yes, only for billing purpose. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't create any virtual machine. It doesn't create any virtual network. It doesn't do anything. Even your resource group also doesn't do anything, right? It is just a layer. That's it. Additionally, logically, it is doing you to logically to group them. That's it. Physically or virtually, it is not doing anything. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, sir.
I hope I answered your questions. Everything.
You did.
Yeah. So thank you guys. Thanks for today's session. So let's meet tomorrow and then we will continue with this document. Okay. We done with only subscription, right? We have to learn about what is Azure license. Okay. Azure Resource Manager. Okay. And then what else we have? That's it. Yeah. In Resource Manager only you have to learn so many things. Okay. What is a flow and all. See, once you have some pretty good knowledge on this, right? It will be easy for you. the documents and everything will be shared to the management, and they will share with your email address. And after 2 days, a WhatsApp group will be created. I will share all the documents in the WhatsApp group, okay, or in the Google Drive, okay. Till then, you will get emails. Who is this Chintaneni Ramakrishna? Yeah, you are asking something. I can't hear you actually. Are you going to share these documents? Yeah, I have once said that. Can you hear me? Uh, I don't hear anything from your side, Ramakrishna. You can type in if you have any questions. Okay. Okay, guys. Thank you. So let's meet tomorrow and continue with our session. Okay. So we are not done with that particular topic. Thank you.
Thank you all.